2 weeks ago, I attended a solar farms hearing in the town over from mine, the town of Fort Edward, where a 1,000 acre plus solar farm is proposed to go in on state protected land that is home to 12 plus endangered and threatened species, which I will put right here on the screen. If you're asking yourself who decides what species are endangered in the state of New York, the Department of Environmental Conservation, the DEC, is who decides, based on field studies and research, what species are endangered in this state. So naturally, when I went to this meeting, I was thinking to myself, how could the DEC, the very department created by the state of New York, for the sole purpose of monitoring environmental impact when something as large scale as an industrial project like a solar farm comes to town, be okay with this? And I sat up front at the solar farms hearing. I had no plans to speak. As some of you have found in the transcripts that have been released since then, I did speak last at the very end. I got the courage to do so after my one friend went up before me, and I laid waste in that speech. I did not hold back. I could not keep silent any longer. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you guys what I have learned since then, with a heavy focus on the DEC, the Department of Environmental Conservation, and ORES, the Office of Renewable Energy Siting, which was created in 2020 to streamline environmental review when it comes to the installation of these industrial plants. These corporations, as corporations do, very smartly attach the word farm on the end of solar and wind to convince people that there is some type of environmental benefit of letting something like this into their towns. They also visit the landowners on average 3 to 6 times and even go to their front doors. They knock on the front door to talk to typically aging farm owners and landowners. So these people know your age. They typically target aging landowners. They come to their doorstep with an offer they cannot refuse, and that is how they are amassing massive tracts of land across our country. This is not just a New York State specific problem, which is why I'm sounding the alarm on here to not even people just in America. I see all of you write in. This is happening across the globe. And whenever I see something that coordinated at a level that is global, it should always have people alarmed, and it should have everyone wondering what the heck is going on with this wind and solar Trojan horse that they are using. When I sat down at the solar farms hearing, I felt encouraged at first because freaking scientist after scientist went up there to speak to the judges. The Department of Public Service, it read, there were 2 judges. They told us, of course, we were not permitted to ask questions to these judges or communicate with the state in any way. We were just free to share our concerns. Scientists after scientists, ornithologists, people out of Cornell got up there, took the stand, you guys can see this all in the minutes, to basically beg these judges and the state to reconsider what they are about to do. They shared with the room the environmental impacts that will be felt far and wide if they are allowed to go through with this 1,500 acre site is what came out. Because what a lot of people don't realize is if the actual solar farm itself is 600 acres, typically the corporation needs equal amount of land or more to put in things like fencing, roadways, parking, and haul in all the equipment that has to come in and out of this farm, including the diesel generators. So in this case, the farm is proposed to be about 700 acres in size, which means Boralex, the corporation that's behind this out of Quebec, is going to need around 1,500 acres of grassland in Fort Edward to see this through. Scientists after scientists took the stand to beg, plead that Boralex understand the location of this specific solar farm is going to be detrimental, catastrophic to local ecosystems, and be built on top of one of the last remaining grasslands, not only in upstate New York, but in all of New England. I will put on the screen right now the map that was drafted by the attorney who has been assigned to this case through one of the bird trusts that is hot on this along with me. He drafted this map to show just how unbelievable and hypocritical this is, that the state of New York is going to allow for the completion and rollout of a project of this scale on the very land the DEC designated as protected. My first question I asked to everyone is, what is the point of the DEC? What is the point of environmental rule of law of our government at all if they were going to come up with these designations that suddenly fly out the window when a renewable energy corporation comes to town? First question I have, as you can see from the map, there are multiple different designations over top the very land they're going to develop out on. The wildlife management area, the WMA, they're not going to develop specifically on top of because it's illegal to do so. But when I spoke to the attorney, they're going to develop on all three sides of it. They're going to close in that WMA, which, if anyone knows how nature works, will slowly destroy the WMA. Animals don't just stick to a little area that we like to put on maps. They need to be able to spread out, not to mention the runoff that's going to come from the batteries, the solar fields, the diesel generators, all of those things around the WMA is going to cause catastrophic environmental impacts to that area. That's why when I have called the DEC, which my mom and I have called them 10 plus times and spoken to a variety of people, most of the people at the DEC share in my sentiments. They're upset. One guy even told me he follows me and is secretly rooting for me to be successful here because anyone who's from the North Country of New York knows how special these grasslands are. It's where the snowy owl winters from the Arctic Circle. It's where the short-eared owl can be seen at dusk. It's where a lot of hunters like to go and not shoot, obviously, the endangered animals, but it's where a lot of hunters in the area like to be out in nature, be out in these prairies and these grasslands, of which we have so few left in our country. With so many decommissioned landfill sites, big box rooftops, parking lots, and highways that these solar panels can go on, it obviously has a lot of people wondering, why are you targeting what is left of our very fragile ecosystems and habitats that are supporting animals that are on the brink of extinction? As the meeting wore on and I sensed the desperate tone in so many people that were taking the stand and the very few landowners that got up there to defend their decision to sell out their land to a foreign corporation from Canada, I felt the need to get up there and at least speak to these landowners and say, have you considered the people that are going to come behind you? A lot of them are over the age of 70 and they get up there and go, oh, I'm 75, I'm 80, what does it matter to me? And I got up there and I said, I'm 32. It matters to me. It matters what happens to this land for your children and their grandchildren. It matters what happens after you're gone. That was one of the things I hit home in my speech. And as this meeting came to an end, I realized nothing that any of us had shared at this meeting was going to be considered whatsoever by the state when it came time to issue the full permit to Boralex to go ahead with this project. Which brought me to the DEC versus ORES. I have so much to say about this. I'll start with the very beginning parts of it for you guys in this video. This is going to be an ongoing series. I have done a lot of investigative work into this for legal purposes. All of this is speculation for whoever says I'm spreading whatever on here. This is all speculation. ORES, created in 2020 by Governor Cuomo, like I said, was designed to streamline the environmental review process. When I called the DEC, they all but said to me on the phone, we now bend the knee to ORES. We now work at the discretion of ORES. They get the final say on the environmental impacts, mitigation, all of that as it relates to the land in New York State. Now, anybody from New York State knows the DEC has been a bulldog of an organization in the past. So hearing them say that they've bent the knee and are looking the other way on what is happening in Fort Edward was a very concerning thing to hear from them. It's a very large department that has been in operation in the state for many years. There are hundreds of people that work at the DEC. So I figured, okay, so if the DEC is now bending the knee to ORES, surely this is a massive bloated department within the state that would have probably its own floor of employees, right? Because there are so many hundreds of solar and wind projects that are slated to be rolled out in this state over the next 10 years. And that is where my research began into finding something that has been no short of disconcerting, that has been hard to even learn about in a lot of ways, allegedly. And before I dive into that part of the video, I'm going to bring something a little bit lighter to you guys for a moment. In order for me to come out here and garden and scream at you guys about renewable energy, I have to be warm while I do it. So I'm excited to talk to you guys today about HALARA. This is my first apparel sponsorship on this channel. I'm sure you guys noticed I love my earrings, I love my fashion. You know, I got to maintain a little bit of my femininity while I come on here and take on big wind and big solar and the government of New York State. So along the way, I have to be comfortable and warm while I do it. I have a lot of different chores I have to get done here at the homestead every day, which is why I need clothing that can move with me and is versatile. From sweeping out the bunny shed to feeding the chickens to sorting all of the different seeds I'm harvesting from my garden for the gardening season next year. I appreciate that HALARA items are versatile and can be styled for different occasions like everyday wear, work, and taking care of my animals. All of the HALARA outfits I wear feel high quality. They are supportive and warm, which is especially important here in upstate New York. All of the HALARA items are designed with everyone in mind, which ensures they are affordable without sacrificing quality or style. Plus, they have a diverse range of both activewear and casual wear at HALARA, which means I can still try and maintain a little bit of stylishness while I'm feeding everything here. And all of these items were designed with the fabric technology, which ensures inside-out softness, stretchability, and a comfortable yet breathable feel while also remaining durable. Don't forget to check out the HALARA Circle, which is a weekly co-creation initiative where you can test, try, and keep select products in exchange for honest feedback. Sign up during open enrollment, share your feedback via an emailed survey, and help them make the quality products you love even better. My mom and I started to call the one singular number you can find for ORES a little over a week ago. We were met with no answer multiple times. We called the DEC back, and the DEC gave us an individual whose information cannot be found on the ORES website, gave us his name and phone number. None of this can be found on the Department of Public Service website either. We have proceeded to email this individual 3 times, call him 3 times, and leave 2 voicemails over now the course of 12 days. I think it's safe to say this individual either doesn't work for ORES or has been instructed from a higher up to not answer our concerns. Since we got nowhere with ORES, we started calling the DEC more, and I started posting about this on my Facebook. I also realized the day I went to that solar farms hearing in Fort Edward, the 2 judges that sat before us had a big banner on the table that said the Department of Public Service. I thought to myself, if ORES is in charge of this entire project, shouldn't that banner have said ORES? The final thing I needed to hear was this past weekend, I actually was able to speak to both Republican and Democratic representatives out of my county and the county around mine. So people on both sides of the aisle shared in my concern. One of them even told me they've called the commissioner of the DEC to say, where are you? What's happening? And admitted to me, okay, a local Democratic politician admitted to me that the DEC has been ordered to fully stand down at the discretion of ORES. I've spoken to Republicans who have told me the exact same thing. I have been told this by enough people to get on here and confidently make these claims to you all. Like I said, for legal purposes, all of this is speculation. After speaking with more people around me in this area, I have all but concluded that ORES either doesn't exist, definitely doesn't have an office, and the people who work at ORES are not fully employed by ORES, allegedly. When I called the Department of Public Service this week and said, can you please connect me with a single living, breathing human in ORES because I have been unsuccessful at achieving that so far, she said to me, she stuttered and kind of paused. And I said to her, where is the ORES office? Because according to the website, they should have a floor right inside the Department of Public Service. She paused and went, it's in another building. I go, okay, can you transfer me over to the other building? She paused, tried to make it all go away. That's when I said to her, I will be writing an article and reporting on this. She changed her tone immediately, said to me, I'm going to be flagging this to my boss, and hung up on me. Obviously, none of them have gotten back to me since I said that to them. Nobody has proved to me that ORES exists. Nobody from ORES has called me back. I found another ORES number today assigned to the case study for Fort Edward Solar. I called it up. It was the first time a human being answered. This human being is supposed to be the project manager out of ORES for the entire project of Fort Edward Solar. So I asked him a question that he should know the answer to. I've been in talks with the attorney assigned to this case. And as of this week, they're having an issue finding where their mitigation site is going to go, where their equal amount of 0.2 acreage to every 1 acre they take is going to go. They had something fall through with that. So I asked that question to this individual who, out of ORES, is supposed to be in charge of the entire project. This person is supposed to be the project manager for Fort Edward Solar. He looked at me. He said to me on the phone, huh? I repeated myself. He goes, who are you? And I said my name. I go, why is that relevant? Can you answer the question? He stuttered. He had no idea what I was talking about. He had no idea what I was talking about. I go, aren't you the project manager for this case? He goes, can I have your email? I go, why? He goes, can I have your email? I give him my email. He goes, I am going to need to connect you to someone else. I go, that's all you guys do there. That's all you do is connect me with someone else who doesn't have the answers, doesn't know what I'm talking about, and probably doesn't actually work at ORES. He was panicked. He paused and said, I've taken down your information. Someone will get back to you. Hung up. Could not hang up fast enough on me. This has been the story every single day the last 12 days. Between my mom and I, we have made 5 to 10 phone calls to these state agencies every single day. We have come back with the same conclusion every single time. 95% of the time, nobody picks up. The person doesn't exist, the phone number doesn't exist, the office doesn't exist. When somebody does pick up, they lob you to another department that then everybody is trying to get away from the accountability of the questions that I have, which are related to the very beginning of this video, the map. They are related to what is going to happen to the animals, the soil, the environment, the water, and the farmers that are surrounding this massive solar industrial complex that they are going to put in the heart of Washington County, which is just over the Hudson River from where my farm is. If I get any answers to any of this anytime soon, I will be reporting on it live here to you guys, so be sure to stick around. I have so much more to share about this. I'm trying to be careful with the wording I use. All of this is speculation, allegedly. I'm trying to make sure I live to see another day, but I am tired. I'm sick and tired of the government getting away with stuff like this, and for me, the final straw was hearing about the owls and the birds that are going to perish if this is allowed to go through, and that the very DEC, the very bloated government of New York State that it's so well known for, is standing down and looking the other way on the environmental impacts of what is going on here. I've never seen the DEC bend the knee the way they are bending the knee right now, which tells me this is much more sinister. This is a much larger coordinated problem that needs to be unearthed now. It needs to be nipped in the bud now before this becomes a precedent for everywhere. Coming soon to a town or a village near you in America, not even just America, like you guys have told me, worldwide. If you're dealing with solar and wind encroachment where you live, please let me know about it below. I read all of your guys' comments from wherever you are in the world. It helps me be more informed as to what I am standing up against in this case. On a lighter note, if you guys liked any of the HALARA clothing items I featured in this video as well, please let me know below. I have to find some way to laugh in the middle of all of this somehow, right? Otherwise it could swallow you whole because it's so hopeless and futile feeling at times, but I just have to believe that me being crazy enough to take this on, me making phone calls, and Jesus Christ is enough to help me see through what I feel is my mission to shed light on at this point in time. Please stick around. I have a lot of reporting coming your way on here. I do read everything you guys write. Any tips, anything you guys want to send me, write it below. I will be reading it, and I also cover this in my shorts on here as well. So please subscribe. Like this video if you enjoyed me screaming about renewable energy experiments that are being conducted on our towns across the US. And just remember, no matter how hopeless they want this to feel for us, you have to always believe that there's gonna be hope anyway. Because there's been so many times in history things have felt hopeless until a Hail Mary makes it not hopeless, and I just have to hope that for this situation too. Your guys' support here and comments and stuff make me smile and keep me going. So yeah, chat with me below. Be back soon with another update. Bye.